welcome to Freshly Served, the healthy vegan cooking show. I'm Heather, and tonight we're going to make a Tempeh Bourguignon, which is loosely based on a beef bourguignon, which is a French recipe. And luckily for us, we don't have to worry about too much French snobbery because bourguignon is just a sauce based on the red wine from the Burgandy region of France. So while it won't be the same as the traditional beef bourguignon in French cooking, it will be delicious, and we can still call it bourguignon because that's just fun to say. You can tell because I've said it so many times by now, right? Okay, so I've got the pan heating up back here, and I've got it on medium-high, and I'm going to start with the mushrooms, and because I'm basing this on French cooking, I'm going to use coconut oil because it's a saturated fat and most closely resembles butter, which is the basis of French cooking. Coconut oil is fantastic to cook with because it is a saturated fat. It is very stable at heat, so excellent choice for cooking with, and it will give us that little bit of French fatty feeling in the mouth. When the pan is heated up, get the coconut oil, and you just need about a teaspoon. Get it in the pan with the mushrooms, stir them around, and you probably are going to feel like you need more oil because these mushrooms look pretty dry, but you don't. What happens is the mushrooms have sucked up the oil, and as soon as they cook, they're going to release it, and it's going to be in the pan again for the onions and the garlic. Mushrooms take a little bit of time, so let them sit on the heat, and I should mention I have cooked some rice to put this over, which you can have going right now. So after about 10 minutes, you can see that these mushrooms have softened up really nicely. They have shrunk quite significantly, and they have released a lot of their juices and the oil that was in the pan to begin with. So you can see, although they were dry at the beginning, you did not need to add more oil. Next up is the diced onion and garlic. Put them in one at a time, let the onion soften before the garlic goes in. That way you keep the flavors distinctive. So in beef bourguignon, they have thin slices of beef. So I'm doing my tempeh, somewhat similar, just for fun. And to be truly proper with this, you should take the mushrooms and the onions and the garlic out of the pan, do the tempeh separately. But what I'm doing instead is I'm going to put the tempeh in the middle of the pan, and I've pushed the mushrooms and the onions to the outside. The reason for keeping the tempeh separate is that I'm now going to sprinkle a little bit of flour onto it, about a tablespoon. And that is going to coat the tempeh temporarily, and then when we add the red wine to the dish, it will thicken up that wine sauce. Just try to get that flour around the tempeh as much as possible. You want this flour to seal around the tempeh a little bit and brown on the bottom of the pan a little bit before adding the liquid. And what we're going to add, and this was the inspiration for this dish tonight, is some red wine. The drier, the better. And I got this because I had cooked something that should have had red wine, and I only usually have white wine, if anything, around the house. And Phil's dad watched and thought that he needed to buy us some red wine. So this is from him, and thank you. And I decided to make something that really needed wine, and a good red wine. And this is not from the Burgundy region of France, but hey, you do what you can. So you're going to pour this right into the pan, about half a cup. And there is some division on the use of wine in cooking. Some people say you shouldn't cook with a wine that you wouldn't drink. Other people say you're cooking it, it doesn't matter. I so rarely use wine in cooking that it doesn't usually matter for me. But because I rarely use it for cooking, I wind up drinking most of the rest of it. So I usually get some that I would drink. So some wine as well as some water, about half a cup of each. And then you can stir the mushrooms and the onion all together with the tempeh at this point. You should see that this sauce is nice and thick. It smells really good too. And you can add a bit more liquid and a bit more flour if you want more sauce. It's always nice because I'm putting this over rice to have some nice sauce drizzling down the side. So I'm going to add a little bit more wine. And pour myself a glass. I think that's a necessity. When you cook a meal with wine, you should drink some of it, right? Okay, so once that's stirred together, you can season this, and we're gonna need some salt to bring these flavors together. I've got the dried kelp in my salt shaker, which adds a bit of nutrients from the kelp, as well as reduce the amount of salt that I need, because kelp itself is salty. Some black pepper, that's essential as well, and some thyme. Now, I would have liked to have used fresh thyme, but I forgot to get some the last time we were at the garden. Phil and I have a backyard that we share because we live in an apartment. We can't garden here, so we share someone's backyard, and Phil plants and grows some nice things there. But I forgot to get thyme. Fortunately, I had some that I dried from the garden last year, so that's still fairly fresh. And some parsley that I did get. So throw that in. Stir it around. You want to give this a few minutes for the flavors to come together. Make sure I didn't miss anything. Okay, good. And I've got a nice thick sauce going on here. It's looking beautiful. Just leave it on the heat for a few minutes and you'll be ready to go. So a nice plate of rice. Spoon some of this Tempeh Bourguignon over top. This would be an excellent dish to take out on the patio for a nice summer evening with a glass of red wine. And of course, we say when we cook French food, bon appetit. This is very nice. You can find the recipe for our Tempeh Bourguignon at healthyveganrecipes.net. I'm Heather, and this is Freshly Served.